Welcome to Tree Dog Tuesday, only on the Fueled by Joy Working Dog Podcast. As competitors, we are always looking for an edge. So let's get your edge at Elite Nutrition. Elite Nutrition has a myriad of products that can help our hardworking dogs compete to the best of their abilities. From Essential Dog to Canine Guard to you name it, many others, Elite Nutrition can help you keep that dog right where it needs to be and compete long term, especially if they have thyroid problems. That's right, Canine Thyroid is specifically designed to get that dog off those pills, to get those thyroid levels right and healthy, and to let it compete the way it's supposed to be. So go to tryelitenutrition.com or call 800-990-9926 and fuel your dog with Elite Nutrition supplements.
Hi everyone, Wade Graskowitz here, owner of Joy Pet Foods here in Illinois. Just want to reach out today and first of all, thank everybody that supports Joy Dog Food. We appreciate everything that every single customer for Joy does for us. We're still a small, family-owned pet food company. USA-made products, born and raised right here. Another reason I wanted to jump on here today is hunting season's in full swing, and this time of the year, you'll learn that, and I did too, if you start seeing your dog with no stamina, no energy, weight loss, issues with the hair and the coat, and, after 2 or 3 days, your dog just doesn't want to come out of the dog box. Guys, there's an issue. And I just want to challenge you guys, if you're not feeding Joy Dog Food, give us a try. I'm very confident that if you give us a try and you're feeding a product that you're not satisfied with or your dog's not satisfied with, once you try Joy Dog Food, you will not switch back. You won't. And if something happens and you're having issues, please pick up the phone and call 1-800-245-4125 and personally ask for me, Wade Graskowitz, the owner. And again, thank you very much for your support of Joy Dog Food.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fueled by Joy Working Dog Podcast. And today I'm joined by my friend Chip Kohser of Elite Nutrition. And Chip, how you doing, buddy? It's been a while since
I'm doing good, buddy. And yourself?
Oh, not too bad. Just trying to not freeze to death today. The weather's been so nice, and now it's a freaking windy blizzard.
No, so I hadn't seen my grass since December 6th. It finally melted on Monday, but now it's just a muddy mess and it's raining real hard.
Well, we got down in the 20s last night, and the wind is 60 miles an hour right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's miserable. So good day to record a podcast. I got a hold of you. Luckily, I had got you available today. So, but yeah, I want to talk a little Elite Nutrition, talk whatever else you guys want to talk about. But really, I know you've done a lot of podcasts. Hell, you've been on the live stream with me. We got a video on Kane Stream talking about your products and stuff like that. But let's just do a quick, as fast as Chip Kohser can do it, rundown of the dog products that you guys got available right there at Elite Nutrition right now. Just whatever you could think of off the top of your head.
Okay. Well, the big thing we got is our Essential Dog. That's our vitamin mineral balancer, probiotic and prebiotic. Had a lot of success with that. We've got, hang on, let me get rid of this thing because my phone was ringing. We've got the ASAP, for the breeding dogs, we got the ASAP puppy, which is a colostrum-based paste to get the puppies started off right. Or if you have puppies that are not thriving, that's a great product. We've got the Lactaid, which is a product if your females don't have enough milk, or maybe they had a large litter, to make sure they have enough milk. our GI equalizer, which is a really strong probiotic for anytime the dog goes off a feed, shipping stress, going up and down the road. It's great to just reset that gut. The big ones, our Lyme and our tick-borne disease treatment, that would be the Rebalance, the Canine Guard, and the Happy Dog Plus. We've sold loads and loads of that. But the one thing I will say with the Rebalance, you can use that for anything that you would use an antibiotic for, from wound care to ear infections. It's really good for, 3 days on the Rebalance, you're not going to have an ear infection anymore. One of the big things we use that for, if any guys out there are breeding, you can use that 7 days before whelping to 7 days after whelping and actually use it as a preventative for mastitis or uterine infection. Whereas when you're using traditional antibiotics, you can't use them until you have a diagnosis. And a lot of times the milk's already sour and spoiled by the time you start treating. Whereas this, every time you have a litter of pups, 7 days before whelping, 7 days after, it will clean up all the fluid in there so you don't get uterine infections, and it will prevent mastitis. Our Canine Restore is also like an antibiotic. It's actually stronger than the Rebalance, where we use that a lot. My rule of thumb is if whatever you're treating is contained to that one animal, use the Rebalance. But if it's something that is contagious, like a kennel cough or something like that, use the Restore. It's going to knock it out quicker. The other thing we've had a lot of success with the Restore is if you've got a dog that just ain't acting right, maybe you're waiting on a blood test, maybe you have Lyme disease, but you just started our treatment or whatever. If you use that Restore 3 hours, every 3 hours round the clock while you're at a big event, it's not going to solve the long-term solution, but it's going to make that dog function properly. If you got Super Stakes, World Hunt, whatever that week, and the dog just isn't feeling well, it's going to get them over that hump to get them through that. In fact, last year at Super Stakes, there was a girl that her dog was just standing on its head, following us around. It had recently been diagnosed with Lyme disease. She didn't know what to do. And honestly, at that time, I just gave her the Restore to try. And I said, give it every 3 hours. She ended up doubling up, and she didn't get into the money, but she was able to double up the one night, and the dog looked like the dog should look. The Canine Guard, go ahead.
When you talk about that, because you've been around me long enough to know, Chip, that I think a lot of houndsmen over medicate for everything. They're like, when that dog's not acting like you're talking about, it's just been diagnosed. They're more apt to stick some prednisone down that dog.
Absolutely.
Or another pharmaceutical. You're talking about replacing antibiotics. How many times have you seen guys use LA-200 for everything from a swollen tongue to a wet nose? And that creates antibiotic resistance. Prednisone, I don't care what anybody says, that is hard on a dog. It's hard on a human. And so if we can take a more natural product that's not going to have as big of repercussions down the road, and not have to worry about antibiotic resistance and and the next time it gets sick, it's even worse and worse and worse. Or, products that affect the dog's kidneys or affect the dog's lungs or affect the dog something long-term like a prednisone would. Why wouldn't you try, even if it's worth a shot? You know what I mean? Before you take that next step of dumping LA-200 down.
Product that we have, other than there's a few horse products that guys are using off-label, but there's not a single product that we have that you're going to overdose your dog on.
Yeah. You're smirking a little bit when you say that. Using off-label horse. I said you're smirking a little bit when you say that, using off-label horse product stuff.
Well, I just got done recording a podcast for the fox hunters, and I think with them, if it's off-label, it's actually more attractive.
Yeah, they like it better that way. They're a little gangster when it comes to stuff like that.
But you're not going to have that concern, that long-term side effects.
Right.
And you're not going to overdose them. Back to the bacteria resistance, that's why we can use the Rebalance as a preventative, because we don't have to worry about that bacteria resistance. The other thing about the Rebalance, is it's not killing the good gut bacteria the way an antibiotic will. So they're still going to
Yep.
digest the food the same way. And where that
Yep.
really comes in handy isn't as much with the dogs, but when you're raising, if you're raising a 4-H lamb or a 4-H hog or something that you're getting paid for how much weight it gains, you're
Mhm.
going to continue to gain weight while you're treating the animal. Whereas typically, if you're giving them an antibiotic, they're not going to get gain that same amount of weight in
Yeah.
that period of time while they're on the treatment.
You know, you know how many times you hear it. You've been around the clubhouses. You've been around all these houndsmen and dog people. Everybody is self-medicating with doxycycline.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's moxicillin. Everybody is just shoving every antibiotic they can down a dog every time a dog starts to look off or starts to look a little bit down or something like that. And then it seems like that dog has a recurring problem for months, weeks, months, years, sometimes a lifetime, where that dog is always sick.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I think that's the cause personally. I don't know what you think, but
It's part of the cause. Also, typically speaking, and we do it to ourselves too. We go on an antibiotic and we start feeling better in 3 days, and we quit the antibiotic, and then that creates more problems of resistance down the road.
mhm,
You need to stay on it for the whole course, and we think, oh, we'll save that till the next time. It's just human nature. We try to. The dog's looking good, so we're going to quit spending money on them, and
yeah,
the reality is that's not always the wisest thing to do. But no, it's definitely one that guys like to self-medicate. And I mean, I'll come back to, I had a guy one time down in Mississippi when I was working for Joy. He was convinced that his neighbor came over and poisoned his dogs. And when we boiled it down to it, he forgot to put his reading glasses on, and he gave each of those puppies 5 cc's of ivermectin instead of half a cc of ivermectin. He killed his own dang dogs.
yeah,
We do stupid crap like that
yeah,
all the time.
yeah. Well,
Uh,
and your products are effective. All the elite nutrition products that I've tried have been effective, but there's certain dogs that it's not going to affect the way it will a different dog. One dog's going to you're going to put it on canine punch, and you're just going to see a world of difference, and that dog's going to be dynamic. And then another dog, it may react just a little differently, and you're not going to see quite the gains that the next person did and stuff like that. But still, that is a lot better option of trying. It's cheaper in the long run. It's got a
mhm.
really good chance of being effective. So, it doesn't make any sense not to try a product like one of yours, or any product that you guys recommend for a certain
Absolutely.
ailment a dog has. I mean, there's no sense in not trying it to me.
Correct. You mentioned the canine punch. That's that's one of the other products that we have for
Hmm.
hydration. One thing I will tell you guys that are out there too is we have reformulated that. The main ingredients are the same, but if any of you guys have had that and you're like, son of a gun, I wish this was dissolved better. It we changed that around. It dissolves the way we want it to dissolve now. It's not going to be, if any of you guys have used it in the past, you got to shake it up quite a bit and whatnot. It
Yeah.
dissolves very well now. That's one of the changes we made for this year, and that's both that and our electric boost tubes. They are designed to rehydrate the dog, increase the red blood cell count, so we're getting more oxygen to the muscle to help with recovery. The canine punch is definitely going to be more of a slow, use it leading up to the
Mm.
hunt, put it in their water bowls after the hunt. You're not going to get the instantaneous results like you are from the electric boost, which is more concentrated. It's 1 ounce per gallon of water. So, I mean, that 2.5 pound container is going to mix
Yeah.
45 gallons of water, for crying out loud. The electric boost, that's the one you give them that paste 15, 20 minutes before you drop. They're going to have extra energy. Whenever you come into a tree and they've been treeing hard, give them another dose. It's gonna keep them up. We flat pulled bear dogs out of heat stroke using that product. I mean,
Yeah.
it is a very, very effective product to keep a dog cool in the hot weather, but also it's a very good product for just that extra energy boost too to
Yeah.
keep them going.
I know
That
I use that. I use that out at Autumn Oaks. Remember how hot it was at Autumn Oaks this year?
oh yeah,
I think it was like 91 or 90 or something like that when we turned loose at one of them slam hunts on Tuesday night. And I had been using it before, But I gave Raven a dose of that, and out of our 4-dog cast, she's the only one that actually went hunting.
Yeah.
I mean,
It
she's
was
the only one that.
visibly haunted
Yeah,
almost.
it was horrible. We shouldn't even have been turning dogs loose, to be honest. But you go to a big event, you don't have a choice. It's either go
No.
home or turn your dog loose. So
Well,
that's
especially
another.
whenever you can't win a PKC cast and you got to start running UKC. I mean,
I couldn't win that
you couldn't win
UKC
a
cast either.
UKC cast either.
She may have went hunting good, but she had a circle slick. That's the only tree she made. So yeah, but no, I like the Electroboost because it's convenient.
Yeah.
It's just right there. The tube's right there. Shoot it
Well,
down
and
and
that's
throw
the
it a half
thing is
hour
that
before I turn loose.
that paste, to me, the pet owners, they get confused by it. But as far as giving it to a dog and knowing they get it, you put it in the back of their tongue, you put it in their mouth, and it's done. There
Yeah.
is no, like the GI equalizer. You can give a dog all kinds of treats or whatever, to try to calm their stomach. But if they get to the point where they have an upset stomach and they don't want to even eat a treat, it's not going to do anything for them. Where that GI equalizer, you just put it right down their throat and they have it.
Yeah.
Everybody that owns a dog's gone and seen a dog where it's eating grass or it just doesn't seem like it's
Oh, yeah.
right. That's where GI equalizer is going to straighten that gut out normally with just one dose.
Yeah.
Another product, the Canine Guard, that's part of the tick treatment, but that's also like a light detox on your dogs. Where we use that is for dogs that have food sensitivities. Maybe they have allergies to external environment stuff too, hot spots. It's going to get whatever toxins are causing problem in your dog out of their system. Again, most of the powders that we have, the application rate's only 1 ounce per 10 pound of dog food. They go a long way. They're very inexpensive to use. The other big one that a lot of guys have used is the Thyrite. And that's one that definitely it is working for guys. There's guys that have totally gotten off a thyroid medication. There's guys that haven't been able to get off. They've been able to get off the medication, but they've had to continue to stay on the Thyrite. It's one of those, even in that situation, you're not getting the side effects that you are from the medication. And I'll be honest, on the Thyrite, that's probably one product that more than others that it doesn't work on every dog. But for $59, why the heck not try it?
Yeah, it's a 2.5 pound container too, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to last the
huge.
average hound 60 days.
Yeah.
Another one that we have is the Recover and the Already, which are your wound sprays. The Recover is the one for them deep, nasty wounds. The Already is the one for more your superficial wounds. It's great for what I call soybean eyes. When your dog's face gets torn up, you can spray it right in their eyeball. We use the same product for pink eye and cattle. Spray it right in their eyeball. And I'll tell you one that's really picked up, and I didn't even really realize the potential there, but especially in the southern states, is our Canine Remove, which is our natural wormer.
Yeah.
It is a great wormer for any intestinal parasite, tapeworms, pinworms, everything but heartworm.
Yep.
And I mean, for $38, you can feed 20 hounds or worm 20 hounds. As far as being effective and inexpensive to worm a bunch of dogs, you're not going to get any better than that. That's one that's really taken off in the South once they found out that it works, because they don't get that big frost like we get where all that stuff dies. I mean, they're struggling with worms pretty much year round. So that's one. And then the Active Dog, which was one we haven't been selling a lot in the hound world, but it's one that should, if you got older dogs that are getting sore joints or having a hard time recovering, it is the best, highest octane anti-inflammatory on the market as far as taking that inflammation out of the muscles or the joints, lubricating the joints, rebuilding the collagen in the joints. And then we've actually now put that into a chew, like a treat instead of the powder.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's one that's going to be a little bit more user friendly, if you will.
Yeah. When you think of the pharmaceutical replacement there, we have older dogs, when we were hunting them hard, Rain, Bella, Trader Shock, whatever, that's major on them. We were given Rimadyl or an anti-inflammatory of some sort. And I think there are some side effects to that too. There's always some side effects to some pharmaceutical, but there's a replacement for Rimadyl.
Yeah. And the big thing too, a lot of people, they like, how can I only use 1 ounce per 10 pound of dog food and it be effective? And, and I want to touch on it a little bit later, but keep in mind, we manufacture human products too.
Yeah.
So all of our ingredients are not but human grade ingredients. They're very
Right.
highly available to the dogs. Whereas
Yeah.
a lot of our competitors out there are using feed grade ingredients and not human grade ingredients. And that's why you need to give them a lot more than what you are of ours.
Yeah.
We do have a few new products that just came out this year too, that came out in February. We got a product called Tough Paw, which is for pads. If you get torn up pads, a lot of my coyote guys that have been running in this ice, they're loving that. But anybody it's going to help prevent sores, but it's also going to help the pads to heal. We have a new product called Breathe. It's a paste, and it's designed for those dogs that you're giving the Claritin to or whatever, that whenever you're running in the rag wheel or in the spring
Yeah.
and their eyes are getting all gunked up, it's going to replace those over-the-counter human drugs that are going to have long-term side effects. And again, you're just giving it to them in a nice little handy-dandy shot. And then I will mention one off-label product that has been kind of taking the dog world by storm. We basically created a product that is going to have the same properties as the active dog as far as anti-inflammatories, but it has white willow bark in it as a natural painkiller. It's essentially going to work like Dex. It's going to take out the inflammation, take out the pain. It is going to help with recovery like nobody's business. If you got a dog that you're pounding constantly and it's just getting sore, it is the product that's going to just make them run until the wheels fall off, if you will.
Yeah.
It's not going to mask the pain so much that they're going to injure themselves more. There's some things out there where they can be running with their guts hanging out and they wouldn't feel any pain. It's not like that, but it's going to help tremendously for recovery.
That's an exciting product. I wouldn't mind. I'll have to get my hands on some of that.
That's called Ultraflex.
Ultraflex. All right, I have to remember that. Not that my dogs move around enough to get sore, but if they ever do, if I ever get one that does, I'll be able to use that product.
Yeah, we might be coming out with it in a human line too, so that way whenever you get sore,
which happens more often than my dogs, I can promise you. But I want to talk about kind of the history of elite nutrition too, real quick, Chip, because I've known about you for a long time, and the business has been around for a long time. But did that business start to cater on the dog side of it to cater more towards the Amish kennels, I assume?
Yeah. So the history of the business, and then I'll bring you up to speed with kind of how I got involved with them and why I'm not with Joy anymore. But in 2011, my boss, Kenny Graber, there was a horse product called UltraGuard that he wanted to make sure he could continue to get for his horses. And so he contacted the company about buying a pallet of it just so he knew he had it because there wasn't a dealer close by or whatever. And lo and behold, the guy ended up selling Kenny the business. When Elite first started, when Kenny bought it, they had a couple good products, but the owners of the company were not businessmen. They were not. They were. Yeah, they weren't selling snake oil, but they were snake oil salesmen. They didn't provide the customer support that they needed to grow their business. They'd come into a community, sell a bunch of stuff, leave them high and dry, and never give the dealers any support to sell the products. The products worked, but they just didn't know how to run a business. So when Kenny bought it, started growing it, and then in 2000, by the end of 2011, he had hired a nutritionist. They started doing formulations and coming out with new products. In 2017, I think it was, Adam Yoder had come on board, and they built the therapy barn up in northern Indiana, where the therapy barns where we treat sick horses, problem horses. And honestly, that's where we do a lot of our product development on the equine side. And right around 16, 17, because in that Amish world, there were a lot of dog breeders that were using our horse products. And if you have, we can joke about our guys using off-label products all the time, and that's no big deal. But if you have a licensed kennel, when your inspector comes, if you're using off-label products, you get yourself into trouble.
Right.
And so we had to start packaging the products for dogs. That's whenever I met Elite, would have been in 2000, late 2017, early 2018. I saw them at one of the dog breeder seminars, and we got to know them. And honestly, I didn't really know what the heck they were selling. All I knew is they had a warehouse in Southern Indiana, and there were dog kennels in Southern Indiana that we weren't servicing yet.
Oh.
So I had convinced Kenny to bring in a truckload of dog food, and he started moving some dog food for us. But in my mind, I'm from Pennsylvania. We have a few Amish in Pennsylvania, and I grew up with this the Amish guy trying to sell me fuel injector cleaner, and I grew up with the guy going around the neighborhoods trying to sell pigeons to Amishmen to get them to breed pigeons for them, and that ended up being a big pyramid scheme. So I had seen my share of snake oil going through the Amish communities, and I figured, okay, Elite's selling snake oil, but they are moving dog food for me too, so I don't really care. Well, lo and behold, they quickly became our largest distributor at Joy. They were taking care of those kennels like I wanted, but they were growing and growing because of their distribution capabilities, because they had 800 dealers throughout the country selling their products.
Right.
So I started paying more attention to them just because they were moving so much dog food. And I happened to be at a meeting one night. It was one of their dealer meetings. And Adam Yoder from the Therapy Barn was up there talking about treating horses for EPM. And I grew up with horses, but that was one expensive hobby that I chose not to continue when I got married.
Good idea.
I do enjoy being around them again now, but it's kind of like having coon dogs and bear dogs. I've got my Boykin Spaniels that hang around the house. They're not nearly as expensive as some of those other dog hobbies, but I've got friends with them. It's like kind of like having a friend with a boat. And but anyhow, he's in this meeting and he's talking about treating EPM with rebalance. And I'm Googling EPM, and it says EPM, it's a spirochete in the same family as Lyme disease. So after the meeting was over, I went up to the nutritionist. I said, if this is working on EPM, does that mean it would work on Lyme as well? She goes, well, in theory, yeah, but we've never really run any clinical trials or done any testing on it. I said, well, you need to know that, because that could be huge in the dog world, not just the hunting dog world, but in the overall pet world even too. I oftentimes joke my sister-in-law buys golden retrievers from probably the brightest breeder on the planet, because she convinces my sister-in-law not to use anything to treat ticks because it's unnatural and it can cause the dog cancer. So every golden retriever she has dies at 5 of Lyme disease instead of cancer at 12. So she has to buy a dog 5 years sooner. That's pretty good marketing as far as that breeder goes. As far as
a smart breeder.
Yeah. But it is. I'm telling you. I mean, she has one now. I think it made it through the 5-year mark, but you can't tell her any otherwise.
It's a ticking time bomb, though. It's clock's ticking.
Exactly right. You're out there spraying cedar oil on the dogs while they're running around playing in the yard and with deer all around, and think it's going to take care of the ticks. But so anyhow, once they got those clinical trials done and all that testing done, and they had a winner, they were getting with that combination. So the rebalance does the kill. The Canine Guard is like that detox. It's going to flush those toxins out of the dog's system while they die, or as they die. And then the Happy Dog Plus, that builds up the dog's immune system, so you can still hunt them while you're going through the treatment.
Right.
And so that combination of those 3 products in our trials, we were at 98% success rate. And the only ones that were not were ones that we were treating in that 90-day period for Lyme and anaplasmosis, or Lyme, where we had multiple tick-borne diseases that were going on at the time. And honestly, that was about this time that shortly thereafter is whenever I gave Wade my notice, because I love Joy dog food and I'm always going to be a Joy guy. You can see from my wall behind me, there's a lot of history there. But the reality is, in the dog food world, there's 3,000 companies that are competing for the 10% market share that the big 3 companies don't control. And with Elite, it's kind of like having the only toy store at Christmas, and there's more than one arrow in my quiver. And I honestly, the horse products are just as phenomenal as the dog products, and the human products are unbelievable too. I mean, we do unbelievable well with the human products. And honestly, a lot of our human product dealers or horsemen or dogmen that are on to the other products, that mom needed this or mom needed that. So they tried the human stuff, and people tell their story a lot better than the dogs and the horses do.
Yeah. Well, you
So that's
figure
kind of where we are, where we came
they
from.
see what they see your product work on horses, dogs, whatever. They get a trust there. That hey, maybe this stuff will work on me too. They're developing a human product, and hell, it's everything else they've had work. Let's go ahead and try it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, what's going to hurt?
Yeah.
My mom had neuropathy in her feet from surviving cancer for 11 years. She started taking our SNAP pills, and in 2 weeks, she had feeling in her feet again.
Yeah.
It either didn't work for $42, and she still had the same pain in her feet that she had for the last 11 years, or now she has no pain in her feet.
All right. Right.
Again, it's nothing that's going to cause undue side effects. If you have issues, it's gonna work for you.
Go through some of your human products that a coon hunter might use, or a guy walking behind a bird dog or something like that, because we all get sore feet too. I had sore
Absolutely.
feet. I had sore feet at the super hunt. I could have used something.
Yeah. So the big thing, I'll start out with some of the things that we have everyday vitamins and stuff like that, but I want to focus on some of the items that take care of things that a lot of people may have been struggling with for a long period of time. One of the things, let's come back to the Lyme treatment. We have a product that will take care of Lymes in humans. It's basically the same three combinations, but the Pure Balance is the rebalance in the dog or in the human side. The Total Guard is the Canine Guard, and the Ultra Caps is the Happy Dog Plus. So the Pure Balance is killing it. The Total Guard's detoxifying it, and the Ultra Caps are building up your immunity so you don't feel miserable while you're going through it. That's, again, a 90-day treatment. Once you get through it, it's going to knock it out. It's not going to recur. The problem is when you give your dog Doxy or you take Doxy, it knocks it into remission, and as soon as you or your dog becomes stressed, it comes roaring back. And there's people that have had Lymes for years, and it's almost acts like MS, where you're fine for 9 months, and the next thing you know, here it comes, it flares back up. So that's going to be the Total Guard, the Pure Balance, and the Ultra Caps. The Pure Balance, that's our antibiotic. So every guy that doesn't want to miss work because he feels like crap, take Pure Balance. And you don't have to worry about calling in to get the script anymore. It's going to take it, whether it's a sinus infection, a headache, sore throat, whatever. I honestly, since I work for Elite, I have not been sicker longer than a 24-hour period of time, because as soon as I start feeling symptoms, I start taking that Pure Balance. I'll load it up with 10 right away, and then I'll take 5 every 3 hours round the clock. Normally within 24, or all the time within 24 hours, it's knocked it out to the point where I'm comfortable enough to continue on with my day.
Well, I know that it's got to be doing something, because it ain't your healthy lifestyle. That's
And
keeping
you
you
want to
healthy.
talk about, let me just tell you, you want to talk about knowing that our nutritionist knows what she's doing. Because I always joke that I'm the dog expert, but I've quickly become the human expert, because every time she comes out with a new product, she says, well, Chip, you're a middle-aged fat guy. Why don't you try this? So I
You're
get
the guinea pig.
yeah, I get to be a guinea pig sometimes. But so I hadn't been to the doctor in 10 years. And I chain smoke. And when I told her, I went into the doctor, and they always ask you those questions. Do you drink coffee? Do you drink? And I said, yes, I smoke. How much? It depends. If I'm at home, not that much. But if I'm driving on the road, about one every 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just how I am. And she goes, well, do you drink? And I said, I socially drink, but I can go 3 weeks without a drink, or, you know what I mean? I don't need to drink all the time. She goes, do you drink coffee? And I said, yeah. And she goes, how much a day? And I'm like, 4 pots. And she's like, you mean cups? I'm like, no, pots. So again, it is not but my blood pressure was perfect. So whatever she's giving me in those pills I take, it's taking care of my blood pressure. So, and that's another thing that I joke about too, is on the human products. If you look at the label, most of them are always going to say take 1 or 2 twice daily. If you look at our dog products or look at our horse products, all of them are kind of based on so many cc's per body weight. I'm convinced that the FDA has a thing to they're concerned about offending fat people, because why should I need to take as many as my wife that weighs 100 and nothing? So that's one thing, is like on the Pure Balance, I'll take 10, 5, and 5. Other people that are littler than me, they might not need to take as much. The Rest, that's another great product. It's for guys, if you're ever laying in bed at night and you can't sleep, you're thinking about what's going on tomorrow or what you did today, and you can't get to sleep. 15 minutes after taking Rest, I'm out. I wake up in the morning, I feel well rested. That product, I take 5. A lot of people only need to take 2. Again, so figure out what your happy medium is. There's a funny story. I was doing a meeting up in central Pennsylvania one night at a dealer's, and he came up to me after the meeting and he said, I got a really good testimonial on that Rest, but I didn't want to share it in front of everybody because I didn't want to embarrass my son. And I'm like, well, what is it, Chris? And he goes, well, my 17-year-old boy, it was Saturday night, and he was fixing to tell a girl that he had his eye on for a while, that he had his eye on her Sunday after church. So he was a little bit nervous and having a hard time sleep. So he said, Dad, I took some Rest. And I go, okay. And he goes, and he took 8 Rest. And I said, well, how big's your son? And he goes, about 120 pounds. Well, I just got done telling him I take 5, and I'm a big guy. I said, he slept pretty well then. And he goes, my 17-year-old boy slept so well that he peed the bed for the first time in 10 years.
Yeah, as a dad, I would have said that in front of everybody. Jace would have been so devastated.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, here's bedwetter over here.
Yeah.
We'll
have to try that with Jace out at Youth World this year.
Oh yeah. No, he actually, you gave him some stuff for his allergies out at Youth World last year. Yes.
Did it work well?
He took some of that. Yeah, he took some on the way home. Worked real well.
Yeah, that's basically like the same formula that we're using in that new Breathe paste. But I mean, that Breathe for people that have allergies, asthma, any kind, even when you have a sinus infection, it drains pretty quick. In fact, one of the things that sucks as I get older, I could care less about what I look like. I've been married for 25 years, but I'm starting to get tinnitus, ringing in your ear, and that can be annoying as heck. But one of the things that gives me a little bit of relief before bed is I'll take one or two of those Breathe pills, and it kind of opens up that sinus in my ear to stop that ringing. I'm never going to, like, from the doctor said, they can't do anything to get rid of it. But at least at this point in time, allows it to be somewhat manageable. So it isn't a royal. I mean, it's annoying. I don't know if you've ever had it or know anybody, but it's annoying.
Years of being around those drills and backhoes and drop plows and things like that before I started doing this, and I got my tinnitus is nonstop.
Yeah, I wish I would have listened to those people that told me to use hearing protection back in the day.
Yeah, what do they know? They were all already deaf anyway.
Yeah, I can't hear that. I can't hear those high RPMs on my still if I put earmuffs on.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, Chip, let's talk about what you guys have been doing. I mean, most of the people that are listening to this are going to be hound guys or watching this on Cane Stream. But you guys have made a really big impact, sponsorships through Cane Stream and other organizations and podcasts and Pro Sport and all that stuff. So talk about that, what you guys are doing and the ins and outs and the whys, of helping the sport along like you have been.
What boils down to same thing as whenever we came back to do it with Joy, whenever I was with Joy. We don't have to recreate the wheel. My dad and granddad kind of created a template. And I'll be honest, there are kind of people, and whether it's horses or dogs, we recognize that those are animals that were put on earth for a purpose. and we want to do everything we can to encourage them being used for the purpose they were created for.
Right.
And I personally believe, on the dog side, we want to support the youth. We want to get that next generation going. And then also on the dog side, we want to support the industries that are probably the front runners for the animal rights organizations to make sure that that they're successful enough that whenever it comes time to raise money or fight, that they have the means to do so. And I think one of the other things that we miss out on a lot is with all the money going on in the coon hunting world. And I'm a big believer in that. I mean, that makes every kid think he can be John Strickland. And the reality is a little kid can grow up to be John Strickland a lot quicker than he can be LeBron James, because he's only 4 foot 10 inches tall. So it doesn't take a kid long to get there.
That's true. That is true.
But it gives every kid that dream out there. And but at the same time, if you don't have good solvent local clubs, it's very difficult for that kid to get involved. And that's one of the things that we've really been focused on at Elite, is trying to do as much as we can for the local clubs for them to be successful. And I'm going to tell you, if you're a club out there and you've been sitting on your laurels and not doing a darn thing, don't bother to call me, because the clubs that I'm going to support are the ones that aren't sitting there complaining about the grand old days. It's the ones that have done some of their own things to improve themselves, and they're trying to make the best out of it in today's world, not bitching about what it was like in the 1990s. In fact, that's one thing we got coming up. I'm pretty excited about my home club, which is Mercer County Coon Hunters Club here in Western Pennsylvania. They're one of those clubs that I'm just fortunate that that's the closest club to where I live, but they're doing a lot of good things. I mean, they just had an RQE UKC bench show in February that they had, I think it was 47 entries, something like that. They had an RQA night hunt this past weekend that had, I think, 27 dogs in it. They're the ones that did that Wags for Kid benefit and bought that kid that dog, and they were doing the auction on all the stud dogs. They're doing some good things, and they're starting to do water races, and we, again, they're my home club, so they get special attention. But I paid for their new dog box for the water races and stuff like that, so they can start having water races. But one thing that we got coming up, and it's going to be in August, and it is one of the things I've been wanting to do even back in the day with Joy, is the Facebook guys out there that say, well, the only guys that can win money are the guys that have money. I wanted to create an event that those guys, they can make money if they got enough dog power. So we're doing a 36 dog Pro Classic, PKC Pro Classic, with some added purse in August. The details will be out shortly. We just kind of put this together with Shane today, but we haven't named the thing yet or anything else like that. But for a $250 entry fee, the winner's going to take home $4,000.
Pretty good.
And there is going to be no split, period.
Perfect. Like that.
They're in. We want to be on ESPN. We want everybody to follow the coon hunting world. We're going to run for $100,000. You know what? We're not going to hunt it off tonight. That drives me crazy. And I understand for the guy. I can't blame the guy, because that's a lot of money that they're giving up. So it's not that I complain about it.
There's a lot of times it makes financial sense to split for the handler.
What you're doing with Mainstream and wanting to make that a splash into the non-hunting dog world,
no,
they don't split the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
If we did, the Buffalo Bills would be pretty damn popular right about now.
4-time, 5-time champs or whatever. Yeah,
every kid over in Africa is wondering why were they making such a big deal about the Bills almost making the Super Bowl? Hell, they won it 4 years in a row.
No kidding. They were making bets over there. They're winning on the second place team on the Super Bowl every year. They just wait for shirts to come up.
Exactly. So so that hunt, like I said, it's going to be in August. Winner's going to take home $4,000. Second place $2,000. Third place $1,500, and all your cast winners are going to get their entry fee back. And
Nice.
we're gonna do a dinner before Friday night at the clubhouse where everybody comes in and gets a free dinner, the whole 9 yards. So I'm excited about that.
What you got anything else new coming up besides that hunt? You talked about your new products from Elite, all that stuff. What else you guys got going on this summer?
Oh, I'm in the middle of dog breeder seminars right now. I'm
Yeah.
actually coming out your way this weekend. I'm heading out to Lebanon.
Yep.
Really getting into on the horse world. We're really starting to break into the Western world, if you will, the walking horse guys, the rodeo guys. In fact, one of our
Yeah.
distributors, number 4 saddle bronc rider in the country right now. And
My
that's an
brother probably
exciting
know
world.
who he is. I wouldn't know who he is, but my brother
Yeah.
probably would.
But it's one of those ones that instead of going to in December, instead of going to a Beagle trial or something like that, I'll be able to go out to NFR. So
Yeah, that ain't a bad deal. Is
yeah,
that why you set that up?
yeah. Well, actually, we went out there just to scout out this year. We went out for 3 days, our whole team and our distributor out there from California. When I was checking into the hotel, the girl behind the counter, she said, "Man, I love rodeo week. You guys are all so polite and you spend your money." She goes, "It just changes the whole culture of Vegas because there's
Mm-hmm.
250,000 of us there that weekend." She goes, "The only thing, I got a really good girlfriend. She was a waitress at a high-end vegan restaurant. She just takes this week on vacation because there ain't too many
There ain't
cowboys
no
going to the
no.
vegan restaurant."
There's no vegan cowboys
No, exactly right.
or coon hunters that I know of, anyway.
Yeah, and then another big thing is that for you guys out there that may know him from Purina Pro Plan, we just hired Galen Cooper, so he's working
Yep.
full time for us now out of
Yep.
Mississippi. We haven't 100% figured out all the places we're going to put him, but for the most part, he's been spending his time in Mississippi, Alabama, East Tennessee, Missouri, Arkansas. But I'm excited about that because it divides my time. It allows me to do some things that maybe I didn't have the time to do in the past, and it gives us another dog man on the team. That
Yep.
well, I thought another guy that's dogs first, but Galen, first 2 weeks, he's chasing that horse business too.
There's a lot of money in that horse business.
Well, what it boils down to is dogs are a very forgiving animal. You can run
Mm-hmm.
the dog till wheels fall off a lot of time. Where a horse is a 2,000-pound animal on sticks, and they have a lot of different problems. So
Mainly the fact that they're a horse.
exactly right.
You know how I feel about horses, Chip.
Oh yeah.
All right, Chip. I appreciate you coming on here. Is there anything else you want to add before we shut this off? I know, we appreciate what Elite does for the sport, for Cane Stream, for Joy, all that stuff. You guys have been a teammate and a partner for a long time now, especially since you came on board with Elite. And so, we appreciate all that. And, we
Well, let me
really,
throw a couple things
really
out.
like it.
One, we don't want everybody to lose sight of the fact that we're still Joy's largest distributor.
Yeah.
So anybody out there that needs pallet pricing because your dealer's too far or whatever the situation might be, we can be as competitive as anybody shipping you a pallet straight to your house. So anybody out there, feel free to give me a call. I'll give you my number here at the end. The other thing is if you're looking for an Elite dealer, you can go to our website. It's tryelitenutrition.com. Go to the dealer locator. Dealer locator is going to tell you everybody within 50 miles of your location, but it's also going to show you all of our online retailers. Because the one thing about Elite is it ships a lot easier than dog food.
Yes.
So we have quite
Yes.
a few online retailers. And,
Yeah.
and honestly, in the world that we're reaching right now, we'll plug because they're good, big supporters of us as well. We're going to plug Chris at Houndsman XP, has all of our products on his website, as well as LW Nixon at Cajun Lights. He has all of our products. He actually has, both of them now have the horse products, the human products, and the dog products all on their website. So if you're looking for the products, that's where you get them. If you need to reach me for any reason, feel free to call out to me, 412-596-0264. Again, that's 412-596-0264. Whether it's you got an old bad knee or you got a problem with your dogs, horses, you got cattle with pink eye, feel free to reach out to me and we'll get you taken care of.
Sounds good, Chip. I appreciate you coming on, buddy.
Not a problem. I appreciate you having me on. It's been a while
Yep.
since you and I've been seeing each other.
I know.
You got to
I
be at
know.
World Hunt?
I think since Autumn Oaks. Oh yeah, we'll be at the World Hunt.
What day you getting out there?
I won't get out there till probably Wednesday.
All right, we're gonna
I'll-
miss. So
I'll-
Gayla and I will be
I'll
out
be
there
here
Monday
Wednesday.
and Tuesday, but then we got to hook around because we actually have a dealer meeting that Wednesday and Thursday, and then I'm going up to Wisconsin Bear Hunters that weekend. So we're gonna miss each other. But yeah, if anybody's gonna be out at World Hunt, we'll be set up there the first 2 days, Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah, and if anybody needs any product at World Hunt that ain't going to be there till Wednesday, just get a hold of Chip. He can leave it with me. We can figure some out. Jake will probably be out there with some.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there'll be product there if anybody needs it there at World Hunt.
All right. Appreciate it, guys.
All right, I appreciate you, Chip. We'll see you,
All
buddy.
right. Bye-bye.